What's up, guys? My name's Dallas. This is going to be my in the bag. So to start us off, I have the grip bag. Ever since I got my first one, I've loved it. It's super durable, they last you a long time, and they're just great overall bags. So to start off, we'll go with my putting putters. Two Yeti Pro ABRs. Let's see. They're both 172. I don't really prefer any certain weight for my putters except that they're 170 and up. So I use these pretty interchangeably, pretty much whichever one I'm feeling that day. Typically it's this blue one, I'm not sure why. It just seems to go in the basket more than the red one, but they both do the same thing. They both go in the basket. Next up is my throwing putters. Two more Yeti Pro ABRs. This one's my newer one. It's been in the bag for a couple months now. I really like it for backhand approaches and off the tee. It's nice and stable, so it'll hold just dead straight and then fade at the end. I can throw it on hyzer, and it can hold that the entire way, or I can power up and flip it up and it'll just ride. I also love it for my up shots, where I can just stand still and just flick it, and it'll just hold straight, hold a true line. And if you play with me, you know there's a good chance if I flick this putter at the basket, there's a good chance it goes in. This one is super beat. I'm not even sure how long I've had it, probably over a year and a half, if not 2 years by now, but it flies like a catch disc at this point. Just super flippy. I think everyone should have a super flippy putter in their bag. I can throw it on just a straight spike hyzer angle, and it'll just flip up and then keep turning over. Up shots, if I need a nice Annie or just a nice easy smooth upshot, this thing will just go. It's basically a catch disc at this point. My other two throwing putters and approach is, first one's a pig. This is a Pro Stiff Pig from the factory website. This one's also getting really worn in. I've had it for probably a year now. I love it for flicking off the tee. I can get right around 300 with the full power on it, and at this point in the stage of it, it will hyzer flip and turn. For backhands, it's easy, just nice hyzer will flip up to flat and keep going. I can throw it on really massive Annies and it'll just hold and then just drop out of the air. I will also use this if it's super windy like it tends to get here in Kansas. I'll use this to putt. So the next approach disc is the Anvil. I've had this for a long time now. I just never really threw it because I always threw my pig, but after working with it this off season, I really enjoyed the versatility of it. It's nice and stable. It's got low glide, but more than the justice, so I can actually get it to fly somewhere before dumping out on me. I'll use this for more skip or if I just need a flick into a wind. It's a great disc. I love it. If you haven't checked one of these out, I would for sure try it. Give this a chance if you don't like the justice. Next up is my mid-ranges. The first one is a Optoline Fuse. I love throwing this. This is probably the most fun disc for me to throw just because it's just so neutral in flight. I love just popping this thing out just on hyzer and it'll flip up and just coast. Like, if one word about this disc is just glide. It just doesn't want to fall out of the air. It just keeps going. So I love this for like really wooded courses. I love throwing turnovers with it, straight shots. A lot of people say it's too flippy. I beg to differ. If I can drop some hyzer on it, this thing will just go dead straight for 350. My second mid-range is a DX Color Glow Rock X3. It's kind of a mouthful, but it's great. Once I started throwing a DX Rock X3, I loved it because they're nice and stable to start off with, like a Rock X3, but they beat up like DX plastic does, and then they fly like rocks. They're really good, just point shoot, just full power, it can handle it. This one's getting a little beat up. It might have to get replaced here soon, but If I throw it on hyzer, I can flip it up. If I need to, I can throw it on hyzer and it'll just hold and coast the entire way. It's one of my favorite mid-rangers I've ever thrown. And then if it gets too windy or I need some more skip or more fade, I got a glow rock X3 as well. This thing's also getting beat up, so it's flying more like a rock 3 at this point. But I love throwing it for flex shots. It'll just, if I throw it on Annie, it'll just go and coast and flex out at the end. Hyzers, it just loves holding that angle and just, it keeps gliding and fades out. Headwinds is, this thing loves headwinds. I can throw it as hard as I can, it'll just hold a straight line and then fade. So next up is probably my favorite disc of all time, and it's the Triple X. So we'll start off with the flippiest, my 2X. I call it the 2X because it no longer flies like a Triple X. This thing was Chris Clemens' first Triple X, and I got it from Neil Shipe up at the DDKC store. He gave it to me when I was looking to try out a Triple X, and this thing, oh my goodness. I can hyzer flip it, and I can turn it. Here in a couple months, I might be able to roll it. But for forehands, I love throwing it just on a hyzer. It'll flip up. It can work left. It can work right. Whatever I need this disc to do, it can pretty much do. And then I just got it's an old Triple X. And if you know anything about Triple X's, the old ones where it says made in Sweden, and it's like got a little bit more give to it, a little bit more gum, they're nice and overstable. This one's just a great Triple X. I can throw it hard on a forehand, it'll just hold straight, and then a nice good Triple X fade. I love throwing it for spike hyzers that I just need to push on that hyzer and then fade. This is a very versatile disc for me, so that's why I love throwing it. Forehand, backhand, it can do it all. And then the Quad X, as I call it, and as most people in KC know as I call it, it's the Opto X Moonshine Triple X. This thing is a beefcake, and I mean it. I can throw it on a knife and hyzer, and it'll just flex out. Whatever I need this disc to do, it will do it, as long as it means it's fading. Because this thing loves just to dump on you. Spike hyzers, it just digs into the ground. Loves skipping if I put it on a low angle. Next up, I bagged 3 Explorers. This one is a prototype by, I think, yeah, Tina and Eric Oakley. I got it from them. And now it's beat up, so it's nice and not flippy, but I can throw it on hyzer and it'll just flip up to flat and just go. So I love throwing this in woods because I can hyzer flip it pretty easily. If I just need to throw just a nice, good turnover that I don't want to cut into a roller, or I just need a long pan, I'll throw this. Then I bag just a normal Opto Explorer. I got this one 2 years ago. Haven't really thrown it because I had another one I was throwing, so I've just been holding on to this one. But this one is just great. I can, if I need to, I can drop it on a tiny hyzer and flip it up, but it's still pretty fresh, so it just likes to hold just a nice straight line and then a fade at the end. And then if it gets real windy, I got my Opto X Explorer, which at first this thing was just nice and overstable. It's board flat. I used to throw this for a lot of just long pushing hyzers that I needed. Honestly, I didn't like it at first because it was so overstable, but I've been working with it and now it's beat up. So now if it's really windy, but I still want like an Explorer type shot, I can throw this into a headwind and it'll just hold straight and then fade. Or if I need a hyzer that still just needs to push and gets the distance of an Explorer, this is what I look to. Moving on to my Felons. I bagged 3 of them. I got this Frostbreaker one, I think in the U section at DDKC. It's nice and flippy-ish. I can hyzer flip it with a forehand and backhand, but it will still just hold straight and then just dump on me. I love it for wood shots. If I need movement left and then right, this is what I'm looking for. And then I go to my Oakley 2019 GBO Lucid X Moonshine Felon. I actually aced with this out in Knoxville in Tennessee. on my very first hole, very first throw, so that was super cool. But it's nice and overstable. I can rely on this, but this one's actually beat up, so now it's flying like a really good Felon at this point. It's not a complete meat hook like a normal Lucid X Felon. This one I can throw, it'll just go straight and then fade at the end. So that's why I'm liking it. It's in a really good stage right now, so hopefully I don't lose this. Next up, I got just a 2019 Lucid X Felon. This it's a freshie, brand new to the bag for about probably a month and a half now, but it's still just nice and overstable. This is what I'm looking for if it's super windy and I need to throw a hyzer, or maybe I need to get a big skip left or right, I'll throw this because it's just a meat hook. It's essentially like my Quad X. And then in my 9 speeds, I got my Vandal. At first I didn't really click with it too much, and then I worked with it a little bit more, and this is what I throw for my rollers because it's nice and easy. I just throw it on a ante a little bit hard and it'll just flip and hit the ground and then just roll really fast. I also love throwing it on hyzers and flipping it up to flat, and you can do so much with this disc. I can power down and just throw it flat and it'll just hold a straight line. I can power up and it will hyzer flip and turn. I even throw this for forehand sometimes, something on a hyzer, and it'll flip up and coast and just keep going. And then I got a Getaway. This has always been a gray area in my bag, but once I found this hybrid Getaway, I've loved them. It's got a nice dome to it. It's nice and stiff as well. If I need a hyzer flip it, I can, but it takes a little bit more to get it up there, so I just throw it flat a lot of times and it'll just go for 400 feet and then a nice fade at the end. Onto my distance drivers. First up, I got 2 of the same defenders. I switched to these pretty recently, about at the beginning of the year. The first one is flippier. I love this one for hyzer flip forehands that I still need a fade at the end, but I need to flip it and maybe get movement left. I can get these things up to 400, 420 on my forehand. I also love this for backhand hyzer flips or just big antes. This thing bombs, so that's why I love this one. This one, I don't know if you can see, it says OS ? Because they are identical. So I had to make sure I knew which one was the overstable one. This one is not overstable, like meat hook say, but it's more stable than the last one. So I love throwing this one for backhands, hyzer backhands, antes, it will flex out. Forehands, if I need a little bit more beef than the flippier one, this is what I'm reaching to. This is probably my most thrown defender in the bag right now. And I got both of these from the store up at DDKC. Josh Harvey hooked me up, so shout out to Josh. And then I have a brand new Bio Defender in here. This one's a real meat hook. I'm loving this one for headwinds. I can crank on it hard and it's not going more than 400, 420 max. But I love it for headwinds, crosswinds that I need to get down without gliding out too far. Even forehands, I love it because I can flex it but still not sacrifice the glide. Next up are my enforcers. I bagged 2 of them. The first one is a Ricky Wysocki 2-time world champion stamp. This one feels pretty good in the hand. I've had it on the wall for a while before I was like, I kind of need a new good enforcer. So I grabbed this one. I love throwing these for forehands. If it's windy, I'll throw them on backhand if I need a hyzer. That's what I throw these for. It's just such a great wind disc for me. And then I have a claim to famed greenie right here. I think I got this one from Chris Clemens or Jordan Casser. I don't remember. They both hooked me up with some good discs and I gave them some too. So this is what I got. Oh my goodness, they are not lying when they say a good enforcer, and they are talking about a greenie. This thing, I love throwing it forehands. It's nice and stable. It's still got some good glide. It's not a Lucid X enforcer where it's really beefy, but it's a really good enforcer where you don't sacrifice distance for the stability. This is my hybrid Raider. I think it is a 174 gram Raider. This thing is my Like if I need max distance, this is what I'm reaching to. I can throw it on hyzer and it'll flip up, and if I really power on it, I can get it and get that nice full flight out of it, get a little turn right after the hyzer flips, and then a nice fade at the end. If I throw it up on ante, it will just hold that ante all the way, and then at the very last second come out and fade back. Eric Oakley actually told me I should check him out when we played a marksman challenge up at Big Blue, and I was throwing just enforcers as hard as I could, and he was flicking a Felon just nice and easy and going further than me. So then he told me to check one of these out, and he's not lying. For a forehand, if you're smooth with it and you drop it on a hyzer, you can get really easy distance, and that's why I love this Raider. Next up, to round the bag off, I have a special edition Warhorse 174 gram. This thing is pure beef, that is for sure. I love throwing this. I don't throw it a whole lot, but I love throwing it for just hard flex shots if I need really a hard fade at the end, or forehands if I need a big flex, I'll throw it. Or if it's just super windy and I just need a nice safe hyzer, this is what I'm reaching for, because I know this thing's fading whenever I need it to.